So this motion isn't about creating good guys and bad guys. It's about holding the water companies to account for their responsibilities to the public and to the environment. And let's focus for a minute on how they've been failing to live up to those responsibilities. Sewage was pumped into the River Wandle 25 times across 2 years, a total of over 120 hours worth of dumping. And what this motion calls for is a local investigation to find out why this has been allowed to happen and what impact it has had on our residents and the environment. And most importantly, this is not as a result of an occasional accident or some insurmountable problem. This has been an accepted part of the design. I recently had the opportunity to understand this design better on a visit to the Benton Sewage Treatment Works. We saw how water from our homes and our streets enters the site, passes through a 3-stage filtration and cleaning process before being returned to our river in a decent condition. When a storm hits, there's an overflow channel that guides excess water into overflow tanks. When the storm dies down, the water returns to the cleaning process. But if one storm follows after another, then whatever state that water is in, sewage and all, gets pumped directly into the Wandle. This should not happen. Though storm frequency has increased of late, we have always been subject to multiple storms. And there are straightforward solutions to this. Yes, we could invest in greater storage capacity on the site, but more sensibly, we can invest in infrastructure further upstream to reduce the amount of stormwater entering the site in the first place. These are investment decisions that a company operating in the interests of the natural environment would be making. But unfortunately, when water companies are driven solely by private interests, they make different decisions. It is nothing short of a disgrace that an investment banking firm was able to purchase Thames Water, load it up with debt, neglect long-term infrastructure investment, dish out dividends for its shareholders, and then leave it for someone else to pick up the pieces later on. This is not the way a utility company should be run, and it's time to bring an end to this privatised model. The Liberal Democrats are proposing to convert water companies into public benefit companies. This would mean that companies can continue to raise capital from the private sector for investment, but their legal duties will not only be to their shareholders, but to the environment too. Regulations will be put in place to ensure that companies do not make excessive profits, and that beyond a reasonable limit, those profits would have to be invested back into the sorts of infrastructure that we desperately need. And if all that seems a bit obvious, then it only really demonstrates just how short-sighted the initial privatisation of water companies was.